Hello everyone, Xiaoling here and welcome back. For those of you who've played Rainbow Six Siege, you'll undoubtedly have come across what I like to call spotters, those players who have an obsession with constantly spotting enemies with their drones, with other people's drones, and with all the cameras they can possibly find on the map. So when deciding to make this video, I wasn't actually sure what approach I was going to use, whether or not to do it in a similar style to my Rook for Rookies video, or take a more serious approach. As you can probably tell, I took a more serious approach since I think this is a pretty important topic, and there are things that I need to say that probably won't fit in a humorous approach video. Whether or not they do it to get points or whether they think it helps the team in some way, I don't know, but if you're one of those players who's constantly spotting with drones, hopefully this video is going to give you some pointers about your favorite pastime. I'm going to start off by saying in Siege, intel is everything. Attackers have their drones, defenders have their cameras, and of course this includes Valkyrie's cameras and Echo drones, and Echo's drone. Thankfully, Echo's drone cannot be used to spot enemies. He actually has to call out the position of the enemies himself if he does see them. I have briefly spoken about this in some of my other guides, but I still see it happening all the time, even in high-level ranked matches. I'm currently in Platinum 1, and I still see people spotting with their drones all the time, even when it's unnecessary. So let's start off with the attackers. At the beginning of each round, there's a preparation phase where you get to scout out the map with your drones. And I see a large majority of players in both casual and ranked, even at high level tiers, just suiciding their drones in this phase, driving them into the enemy area without regard of whether the drone's going to get destroyed or not, or whether it needs to be in the danger area or not. Now, drones are your lifeline. In the preparation phase, there are 3 objectives that you want to try and accomplish with your drones. You're not just needlessly driving around for the fun of it trying to mark people. The first is to find out where the objectives are, the bombs, the biohazard container, or the hostage. Secondly, you want to find out exactly what operators the defenders are using and which of them is roaming. This is all crucial information. And finally, you also want to get an idea of what kind of defenses they've set up and where and which walls they have reinforced, so that you can plan your approach. Now, once the team has this information, there's no point in steering your drones into the danger zone and getting them destroyed. It's far better to save them and use them when the round starts. You only have 2, so it's important to preserve them for as long as you can. If you can set up your drone in a good spot near the objective room, that's even better. Of course, some of the drones are going to be destroyed during this phase, that is inevitable, but my point is that you don't need to get them destroyed unnecessarily. Now, sometimes you'll see your teammates have found good spots for their drones and their drones haven't been seen, and that's a good way that you can get intel for your team. Unfortunately, in many of these situations, I also see people spotting with these well-placed hidden drones so that the enemies get alerted to their presence and actively start searching for them, and eventually, in most cases, end up getting them destroyed. Also, if a teammate has found a good spot and your drone's being chased by the enemy, don't steer it to where your teammate has his drone, because that's just going to get both drones destroyed. My point is, with all of these things, don't spot when it's unnecessary. In fact, don't spot if you can help it. The intel is far more important than the 5 points you're going to get for spotting an enemy or the very temporary marker of their location on the map. If you want to relay information or location of an enemy to your team, use the voice chat, use the team chat to do so. Having intel on an enemy who is unaware that he's being watched gives you the advantage. Keep it that way. Finally, if you're droning and you see an enemy waiting in a corner, behind a barricade or behind a destructible wall, generally it's not a good idea to spot them, especially if you plan on shooting them through said wall. If you're sure they haven't seen your drone, it's almost certain that you're going to get yourself a free kill and be called a hacker at the same time. However, if you spot them, they will move, because they do get an on-screen prompt telling them that they've been spotted every time they get marked. Of course, there are times that you do want to spot them to flush them out of a specific location, since the majority of players who are spotted will become unsure because they know they've been seen and will very likely change their locations, or at the least start looking around trying to find where the drone is. So spotting can be used as a distraction or a way to flush them out in order to herd them to a specific location so you can get your teammates to kill them. So this can be used in a spotting strategy as well. But there's no reason to continually spot them all the time when it's absolutely unnecessary, and it won't do your team any good. Now, moving on to the defenders. There are cameras located through each of the levels, and this is the only way in which the defenders can gain intel on the attacking team. If you have a Valkyrie, the team will have an additional 3 cameras, and if you have an Echo, of course, he can use his drone to gain intel. Now, when the round starts, using the cameras outside to get an idea of where the enemy is approaching from is pretty important, but also to find out what operators you are up against, since it'll give you an idea of what to expect. Spotting doesn't always reveal the operator's info. It marks their location on the map, and depending on their distance, if they are close enough, you'll see who they are. Most players, though, at this stage of the game are quite aware of the locations of the outside cameras on most maps, and any good player will be sure to destroy the cameras as soon as they have line of sight. So during this stage, trying to get as much information on the enemy as possible is pretty important before they destroy these cameras. However, often players will forget to destroy cameras. It happens frequently, even in high-level matches. Sometimes players are focused on other things, they're worried about getting spawn killed, whatever it is. They forget to shoot the cameras and will just run past. Now, as a defender, this gives you a great advantage. Do not use these cameras to spot them. As I mentioned with the attackers, it's far better to use your mic or team chat to communicate the enemy's location to your team. Having that intel feed while the attackers are roaming around or pressing on the objective allows your roamers or your teammates to effectively flank them without their knowledge. As I said earlier in the video, an unaware enemy is at a disadvantage. The moment you spot them with drones or cameras, they'll turn around, destroy the cameras, leave you without that advantage, and also change their behavior, move to a new location, which puts you in the dark. If you have a Valkyrie on your team, don't use her cameras to spot enemies. Rather relay it via the mic, as I said before. Her cameras can be placed anywhere on the level, so even when all the normal cameras are destroyed, you can still get intel from her cameras. And this can be the difference between winning and losing a round. There are very few situations where marking an enemy is a better choice than verbally calling out the information to your team. Also, using other people's drones or Valkyrie's camera to constantly spot until they get destroyed is just annoying. It doesn't do any good for your team and puts your team at a disadvantage. So what I'm saying, guys, is think before you spot. Intel is everything. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say. I don't think I've forgotten anything, but if I have, you guys can let me know in the comment section below. And as usual, if you have any questions or other comments, you can also leave them in the section below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to share this with your friends, since it does help out the channel a great deal. I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. I've been Xiaoling. Until next time.